All right, this is the start of our unit on ecology. We're going to start on page 5, so turn to page 5. Make sure you have your name at the top of the page. As we go through these videos, please make sure that you pause it when you need to, if you need a little more time, or if you need to hear something again. If you miss something, you can go back and listen to it. So make sure that if I'm going too fast for you on the video, you can pause it and adjust that timing as you need to. All right. Now, ecology is an ology word, and we already know that ology means the study of, right? Well, eco is a Greek word that means house or dwelling place. Okay, so ecology is the study of the relationships between living things and their environment. When we're talking about the ecosystem, and this is one of those things you already have defined on the cover of your packet, an ecosystem is the living and the non-living things that are interacting with each other in a particular area. Now, in that area, when we say living and non-living things, we actually use a different term for that that's, a little more sciencey and root wordy. All right, so when we're talking about the living things, we call those the biotic factors. And so the biotic factors in an ecosystem are going to be the organisms. These are going to be the living things, and we also include the once living things. We sometimes call this same thing the organic part of the ecosystem. Okay, now that can sometimes be a little confusing, the once living part of it, because we'll think that, okay, that's not alive anymore, and it's not. But if, for instance, a branch falls off of a tree, for instance, the branch is no longer living because it's not connected, but because it was once living, it still has that biotic component to it. The opposite of biotic is abiotic. So this is pronounced A, the long A sound, which means not. So abiotic means not living, non-living things, and these are the things that not only are they not living now, but they never have been. Inorganic. So this is going to be like the air and the water and the rocks, all of those things that if we think back to our characteristics of life, they do not have these things. Okay, so biotic and abiotic are what we use to describe the living and non-living things that are interacting with each other in the ecosystem. So we're going to look at some examples here. Go over to page 4, and you've got this chart about the examples of ecosystems in Minnesota. And I want you to use this little section here that says forest ecosystem. So you can see it's divided into biotic factors and abiotic factors. I'm going to show you a short video, and during the video, I would like you to jot down some of the things they give examples of that are biotic, and also some examples of things that are abiotic in this video. Okay, so be writing things down as you're watching the video.
Oh, I think I felt a drop.
It better not rain. I've been looking forward to the class camping trip all year.
And at least we got the tent up in time. Come on. Zoe, it's just a little rain.
I hate the rain. It's so totally unnecessary.
Oh, it's necessary. The forest is an ecosystem, a community of animals and plants that interact with their environment. Rain is a huge factor in keeping it healthy.
Well, it's also a huge factor in ruining my camping trip. You tell me why it's so important.
All right. Well, an ecosystem like this forest is quite the masterpiece. Things called biotic and abiotic factors work together to make sure an ecosystem survives and flourishes.
What does that have to do with rain?
Rain is an abiotic factor. Abiotic means non-living. Rain, sunlight, temperature, minerals in the soil, they're all abiotic factors that help the ecosystem thrive. Without abiotic factors like rain, the plants in this ecosystem wouldn't be able to stay healthy or grow.
Okay, I getcha. What's a biotic factor then?
Biotic means living. The plants, animals, and even the bacteria found in the forest are all biotic factors. Together, they make up the community living in the ecosystem.
There's a lot going on in this ecosystem, huh?
Yeah, a lot. Plants, animals, weather, bacteria, they each play a different role in helping the ecosystem.
What do plants do?
Plants are producers. They make food and oxygen for the animal.
And animals?
Animals are consumers. They eat the plants and other animals and give off carbon dioxide to help keep the plants alive.
How is bacteria important? Ew.
Bacteria are decomposers. They break down the dead animals and plants and turn them into minerals that help things grow.
That's pretty sweet.
It is. Now do you understand why the rain is so important?
Yeah. Without rain, plants couldn't survive in this ecosystem.
See, the rain ain't so bad after all.
But I'm still hating on it, abiotic factor or not. Well, I guess the ecosystem is sort of a symphony of parts, abiotic and biotic. Rain, sunlight, and temperature are all abiotic, or non-living factors that help an ecosystem survive. Plants, animals, and bacteria are all living, or biotic factors. Biotic and abiotic factors work together for an ecosystem to survive and flourish.
Exactly. And check it out.
Aw, and just as I was starting to appreciate all that rain. Know what, though?
Huh.
The skies might be dry, but...
Mud war!
All right. So back over on page 4, think about some of the things you might have written here. Think about what they talked about for biotic and abiotic factors and what you might find in a forest. So for biotic, you might have trees, right? Grass. Think about some of the animals that would live in there. Birds, insects, mammals, different things like that would all work for biotic factors. For abiotic factors, it's going to be those non-living things. They just featured in the video, things like the rain, like the sunlight, like the rocks, like some parts of the soil. All right, so make sure you've got a nice list for forest. Pause if you need to finish up. And then as you're ready to move on, I want you to think through these other kinds of ecosystems. And so there's a prairie ecosystem, and I want you to think for a minute about what would be some of the biotic factors and what would be some of the abiotic factors. Pause while you take a look at that one. Now, it might be things that you can see. It also might be things you can't see in this picture. The picture is just meant to give you some ideas. When you've finished with prairie, move on to the stream and come up with a few ideas. Pause till you're ready to move on. And then finally move on to the lake ecosystem. Now, when you're looking at these water ecosystems, we're certainly thinking about what's under the water, but also like what's along the shores of them. Those are part of the ecosystems as well. So you should have a few things written for each one in these. Once you're done, this is the end of this part of the